Tom, you mustn't be looking at emails, yeah? Got you.
I'll be working while I'm doing it.
You are working. This is work, my friend.
Every country in the world right now is looking at AI and regulation. How do we implement this into school systems? But perhaps for Africa, there's something there that this can all be done from the start and be rolled out in the right way. And I see that as an opportunity for the future.
And then obviously in certain countries where there are challenges around socio-economic environments, what about sort of infrastructure? How do we make sure we repurpose our learning spaces and classrooms at scale with government? How do we make sure we have a safe learning space for children of all ages, so no child left behind? How can we make sure access for all? And you elevate the quality of teaching, but also learning, so that you can really create a hyper-personalized learning journey for each and every student. But often, infrastructure, Tom mentioned, if I take Africa as a continent, 60% of schools are in rural areas. Right? That's a challenge for governments at scale. Often governments have the appetite and they have the will to change. But often the challenge can be funding. The challenge can be perhaps not so much expertise in the pre-implementation of how do we create transformation at scale. But yeah, we're very much in those conversations with different ministries, and that's one of the kind of things we'll obviously be talking about in Innovation Africa as well.
And just before we move back to you, Tom, I want to just also touch on what Aaron said around education and teaching being a noble cause. I think one of the things that needs to be done as part of the change management is reconfiguring the meaning of teaching and education for the next generation that's coming. They need to be told a different narrative and a different story, because the image of being a teacher has been tarnished. And maybe the right word is not tarnished, but it's been undermined, I think, for way too long. And part of it being seen and recognized by youngsters who are, seeing celebrities every second of the day on their phones and social media. We need to start making, the career something to look up to, something that's exciting, something that is fun as well, right?
I was reading just yesterday a European Commission article about the growth of solar-powered schools and schools that are they're completely off-grid, and who knows when they might even be able to get onto the grid. But working with solar power, I think that is one of the ways to get around the kind of the infrastructure area. Of course, then for the future, there's the sustainability angle. There's also the cost savings that it encourages, and I think probably that's one of the keys is rolling that out. There's a number of projects across Africa that are working with solar power, and I think that's, in terms of infrastructure, which is certainly not my speciality, or I have much knowledge, something that I think is actually really interesting. On the education side, there's a lot more. One of the things I've looked into recently, I think you might even be more familiar than I am, KK, but it's the e-learning program that Vodacom run within South Africa, I believe, which is basically a platform, an e-learning platform with a variety of content that is available at no cost. So I mean, that is a huge step in the right direction. When there's, if you've got your data plan and you connect and learn at no extra cost, that is when cost is such a prohibitive thing, that is a step in the right direction. And for me, that's also a large, a telecom in this example, using their platform to be able to support the learners. And I think that is a big step in the right direction with a company like Vodacom rolling that out.
Yeah, leading on to what Tom said, a lot of it is about best practice. Sharing what best practice looks like. It doesn't have to be copy and paste, but it can be localized and obviously worked around. But often, governments or even private schools, individual schools, are not quite sure where they are on that journey of transformation or reform, and that they often don't know how to measure that. What does that look like? For us, when you come into technology, what we do a lot of the time, with ministers or undersecretaries, or we have to say, that sounds really good, what you're trying to achieve. How are you going to measure that? Right? They're not quite sure. The simple way of measuring it is, student outcomes. So test grade, test marks, test scores, right? Educator satisfaction, right? But beyond that, what really helps drive a more, I would say, predictable level of success that makes measuring it more robust with a higher opportunity to be successful, particularly around technology deployment. Technology is seen as just something that will kind of revolutionize and change. And we hear all these buzzwords, BYOD, bring your own device, or now everyone's talking about AI. Great. But if you don't have a digital strategy to implement AI holistically across, whether it's for educators or whether it's integrating into day-to-day with students learning, I mean, you're wasting your time. So again, if you're wasting your time or it's not going to be impactful, then it's probably not going to be successful.
And I can only imagine what it's going to look like, when industry also participates in those conversations, which is something I'm looking forward to doing in Addis Ababa next month. Tom, you want to give us the details on that?
Of course, yeah, would love to. Yeah, so we will be Innovation Africa, which I think is in its 15th edition now. Will be taking place in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, so 28th to 30th of April. We work in partnership with the Ministry of Education there, so it's completely under patronage of the Ethiopian government. We have, I think, something 25 to 30 heads of delegation ministers confirmed so far. There'll be something like 50 different ministries there from more than 30 African countries. As we've spoken about, we're really focused on bringing in, first of all, those government officials to come and talk about future of education within Africa, but also really, really importantly, the industry partners that are working with the likes of Smart and others who are there collaborating with ministries to help them, in some cases, kind of realize what they're looking to do and what they need to do. So yes, really, really excited. It's only 6 weeks away now, so we've got lots going on. But yeah, anyone who is joining this podcast, please reach out to me if you're looking to get involved at all.